What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Point. I'm your host, Anna Kasparian, and we have a double whammy for you today. We're doing a double show because let's keep it real. Next week is Thanksgiving, and we want a break. So we're not going to film next week, but we have a bunch of really fun evergreen stories, including semen facials. What is that, and should you be doing it? We'll get to that in just a second. But who are our panelists today? Super excited to have Andy Reesmeyer back. Andy Reesmeyer is the host of All Systems Go. You guys should check it out.
New show.
I love it. That hair, though.
Oh, this?
It looks great.
Thanks.
I love it.
Thanks. I'm trying something different now, you know.
I mean,
It's fake. They apply it every day, every morning. They just each, like a small Malaysian child glues it onto my scalp every day.
And I'm excited about a new panelist that we have on the show today. Intelligent, bright, funny girl by the name of Christina Wolfgang. She is a comedian and a writer. Thank you for joining us, Christina.
Thank you. I wish you were introducing me in every room I walk into. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
So excited to have you. All right, so let's get started with the topics today. The Paris attacks in France were, of course, tragic, but there were a number of people who were victims of that tragedy and who also had Facebook accounts that alerted their friends as to whether or not they were okay or if they were hurt. Now, Facebook has this safety check feature that, of course, is a great idea, but some people were criticizing the fact that the first time it was used was for this Paris terror attack. Now, there were some critics who say that the social networking site was not turning it on to feature attacks in Beirut that happened around the same time. However, Alex Schultz, who's the vice president of growth at Facebook, says the following: there has to be a first time for trying something new, even in complex and sensitive times, and for us, that was Paris. Now, Mark Zuckerberg says that their policy has changed starting Friday to allow check-ins during attacks like this. Also, there was a test trial of this safety check back in 2011 during Tokyo's tsunami and nuclear disaster. It has since been launched to basically keep all of your friends and family on notice if you are traveling in an area that has been the victim of a terrorist attack like this. Now, I think that the criticism isn't necessarily warranted. If you want to have a conversation about how a lot of the attention has been on France, but no one's really talking about Beirut, I think that's a fair criticism to make. But at the same time, it's great that Facebook is using the safety check feature now. It is the first time that they've used it since 2011, and now they're planning on using it going forward. Hopefully there isn't a double standard on when they use it and when they don't. We'll see going forward. What do you guys think about this? Andy, make your point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know that it was like an intentional thing that they were like, well, we're going to turn it on for Paris. We're not going to turn it on for Beirut. Obviously, we have a Western perspective in America. Facebook probably has a Western perspective since it's an American company.
Right.
Maybe they thought more of their user base within the realm of the people that they serve in America would have more interest in people who were in Paris than necessarily Beirut. Again, I don't know that it's fair to criticize them for that, because I think very quickly they have said, all right, we're going to do this now going forward. It is good. It is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
We were at work when the news broke, and everybody was on their phones checking to see if everyone was okay. It was a really nice thing, but it really made me appreciate not having friends, because now I don't have to worry about
Now you
stuff.
don't have to worry about them being victims.
Yeah.
Christina, what about you? Make your point.
I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think Facebook is hearing people when they say that they want expansion. And I had a friend in Paris, and she said that she opened up her phone and Facebook was like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
And she could check on her friends in Paris. So I think that people shouldn't put down the feature, because I think it's really useful. So.
Absolutely. All right, so here's the personal question. Which natural disaster or terrorist attack impacted you the most? I'll go ahead and start, okay? So, of course, 9/11 impacted me, but I lived in California at the time, as I still do, and I was a kid. I was in high school, so of course I understood the severity of what was going on, but did it impact me personally, other than making me feel terrible for all the victims? Yeah, it did, but not to the extent that the 1994 Northridge earthquake impacted me.
Okay.
So I was in third grade, I believe, when that earthquake happened, and it was one of the scariest experiences of my life. You see like death and destruction all around you, and you're a kid. So it was a traumatizing experience, but at the same time, weirdly enough, it brought our community closer. So I would say that impacted me the most. Christina, what about you?
Well, I also was impacted by September 11th. I grew up in Maryland, but when I was in 7th grade, the sniper attacks were going on.
Oh, wow.
And I went to this beautiful school where there were these huge windows, and we all had to get together and put a newspaper up to make sure that we wouldn't get shot in our classroom.
God.
And my mom is a teacher, she's a first grade teacher, and she would walk kids home, and I mean, I don't know what she would have done,
Right.
but the shootings were so incredibly random that it just felt like at any second the world was going to end, and there was so much misinformation. So I think about that a lot and how lucky we all were to get through it.
Absolutely. Wow. That's really scary.
Yeah.
Andy, what about you?
So, obviously working in news and stuff, we go to a lot of places post-disaster. We see a lot of worlds that are sort of like, have just been altered in a huge way. And I think that you become kind of numb to that after a while, which is, it's a bummer. That's not a human condition that you should develop. But personally, I had covered a lot of school shootings. There were a lot of them, it seems like, between 2011 and 2013. And sort of around the time that I got out of news was I was actually taking some classes at Santa Monica College at the same time, and there was a school shooting, and I was on my way to campus. And
Wow.
KTLA, I was working at KTLA at the time. And they were like, "Hey, actually, get over there because let's see what's actually happening." And it was just this weird thing where the idea of the safe space, which was school, and normal life, which, for me had always been sort of separate from my work life, which was disaster, they crossed over for the first time. And it was just this like really, really sort of surreal thing. And
So scary.
yeah, it
I
was
mean,
terrifying. Many people were killed there. And it's
Yeah,
just,
I
it's
mean, we're now
sad.
living in this day and age where it's not only about natural disasters. You're worried about crazy people out there who have access to guns, crazy people out there who hate, Westerners, hate everything that we stand for. And so you kind of have to be, on guard and make sure that you protect yourself in any way you can. I'm not entirely sure how you do that.
Yeah.
But it's a tough conversation to have. That's probably the most serious conversation we've had on the point. But you can go ahead and comment in the section below and tell us what natural disaster or which natural disaster or terrorist attack impacted you the most personally. Comment in the section below, tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. After the Paris attacks, a number of public figures took to social media to politicize the event. Now, while there are some people who make really good points about what happened in France, of course, there are some who don't necessarily make the best points. Donald Trump is one of those people. Now, the recent attacks killed a whopping 125 people and injured more than 200 people. Donald Trump's tweet from last January resurfaced online following the attacks, and apparently, the musician Frank Ocean had enough of Donald Trump's opinions. So, first of all, Donald Trump had posted something after the Charlie Hebdo attacks that happened in January, and the tweet said the following: "Isn't it interesting that the tragedy in Paris took place in one of the toughest gun control countries in the world?" Well, Frank Ocean took that tweet and used it to respond on his own blog on Tumblr. He said the following: "On the real though, Donald Trump, how is it interesting that these shootings happen in a country that's tough on guns? Tell us, Don, because it sounds like that Vegas observation was about giving your NRA-loving constituency a hand job and spinning a tragedy for political gain. And I'm thinking maybe using a situation where dozens of innocents have been murdered in the streets isn't the best time. No?" Now, I actually absolutely love his response to it because it's true. I mean, you have people who are using this tragedy in Paris to make points about how the United States shouldn't accept refugees because they're Muslims and they're probably terrorists, which is so wrong because these are the people who are trying to escape the same terrorism that we're railing against. At the same time, Donald Trump doesn't really make a good point about guns because if someone is bombing you, what are you going to do with your guns? That's not necessarily going to stop a terrorist attack, unfortunately. So Frank Ocean calling him out is a good thing, but I see Donald Trump as low-hanging fruit. What do you guys think? Christina, make your point.
Sure. I mean, I really liked Frank's response, firstly because he called him Don.
Yeah.
And I just could hear Donald Trump's hair kind of like deflating, like, I'm not Don, I'm the Donald Trump,
Yeah.
But on a grander scale, I worry that Donald Trump has inspired kind of the average Joe to be more vocal about inappropriate things like that. And
Yeah.
I really could have used Frank Ocean on my Facebook feed this week.
Yeah,
So
I hear you.
I'm all for it. I think it was awesome.
Andy, make your point.
I mean, okay, so notwithstanding what he said, talking about vacuous words and stuff like that. Sick lyrics. Work on your record, man. Like, seriously, we're waiting. Come on. Like, what are you doing? Also, the fact that that was tweeted about during Charlie Hebdo sort of undermines the entirety of what Frank Ocean said, because even though it's a good point, it's sort of meaningless, because Frank Ocean specifically says you're using this tragedy right now to make a point about something that happened right now, but he's not. That tweet was he was using tragedy from 8 months ago.
Right.
Or 10 months ago. If anything, it's Frank Ocean who is using Donald Trump's old tweets to sort of just like easily throw him under the bus. It just seems, like you said, low-hanging fruit. It just seems real cheap. It's Donald Trump. Like, what do you expect?
Right. I mean, and here's another thing that I want to make absolutely clear. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite who's against politicizing tragedies. In some cases, it makes sense, right? If there is a case to be made that makes sense, like for instance, if there's a mass shooting in the United States and people say, hey, you know what, this is a perfect example of why we need to really rethink our gun laws, I don't think that that's necessarily bad politicizing, because you need to come up with a solution to prevent these things from happening in the future. But it really depends on where you're coming from. If you come from a place where you're representing people who fund your campaigns or you're representing corporations, then I think it's a bad thing, because obviously you have some sort of hidden incentive or hidden agenda.
Right. Well, in politics, right, in its sort of most puerile sense, is taking known experiences, pointing to them to say, look, this is why my point matters. This is why what I think is important. And I think that that's like, you know, it's sort of sick and sad to say like, oh, these people died, and now we're going to use it for political gain. But that is also how we make decisions based on experience.
Yeah, we're supposed to learn from history, right?
Yeah, I think there's more like of a graceful way to do it, though.
Yeah. Sure.
I did notice, I looked at Donald Trump's tweets from the past week. And he was saying like, I told you so. Just inappropriate. It's disrespectful, and it's disrespectful to the lives that were lost.
I absolutely agree. All right, so here's the question. Name a time that you had to defend yourself. Not necessarily in a violent way, but Christina?
Well, I recently got into my very first Facebook debate.
Yeah.
I always stay out of it, but I recently posted something about Planned Parenthood and the defunding, and some people got into it, and I usually just like let things like that go. I write for the internet all the time. If I responded to every comment, I would, not have a job. And I got into it, and we actually ended. It was almost like on a handshake, like, all right, so we'll never see eye to eye.
That's the best way to end it, honestly.
It was like, I'm never doing that again.
The worst way to end it is how I've ended it in the past, where I'm just like, fuck you, I'm defriending you, I can't handle it anymore, right? So that was the right way to go. What about you, Andy?
As much as we try to stay away from internet troll conversations, sometimes you just can't. You just can't help, because a lot of times when you make a thing or you say a thing and you're really proud of it, it's part of you. It's part of who you are as a person and what your sort of like creative soul is. And when you put it out and there's a bunch of people who just say like, forget you, it's really tough.
Yeah.
Specifically, I hate to go back to this because it sounds like I'm pandering, or that I'm preaching and advertising something. But the new show that I work on is kind of a different thing for the company, for Machinima, that we've done in the past. It's sort of this new era of content, which is a little bit less like a gameplay video and more like a talk show.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people who like the old style gameplay stuff, and the gaming audience is a very vocal one.
Yes,
sometimes
absolutely.
a toxic one. Was not happy about that. And so we have sort of had to fight within not only our camp and the trolls, if you will, but also with the executives at the company, and some who say like, hey, we should be doing stuff more to this audience, to this specific group of people.
Yeah.
And so that's a tough one, because you have to say like, okay, should I believe in myself and my ideas and my vision, or should I also just do what other people think is right? And I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, you got to have a good balance, but I mean, in this industry, you got to defend yourself and your ideas and your vision. So that's the way it kind of works out. I totally know what you mean by that. Last time I had to defend myself was when I went to a specialist for a health condition situation, and I found out after she had billed me that she had overcharged me for a number of things, right? And so I did research on her, and I find out that a bunch of women had similar issues with her. And so I actually called the billing department and I was like, listen, okay, I know you can do this to other people and you get away with it, but you can't do it to someone who has a platform to speak on.
Yeah.
Right? And so immediately, like, the billing department contacted me back and they're like, oh my God, it's actually our bad. And we had planned on issuing you a refund before you even made the call, but I forgot to do it. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, yeah. Like, I would watch it. So defend yourself in any way that you can, especially when you feel like you've been swindled or when you feel like your vision for what you're doing for work isn't being represented properly. Anyway, comment in the section below. Tell us the last time you had to defend yourself, and we'll see you soon. Modern Family actress Ariel Winter recently posted a throwback Thursday photo on her Instagram page featuring herself with her 2 nieces. It was actually a Flashback Friday one. I mean, come on, whatever, same shit. Anyway, so adorable picture. You look at that, and I guess if you're a guy, you might get aroused in some way. But unfortunately, some of the comments indicated that she was, quote, asking for it. So Ariel Winter took it upon herself to not only defend herself, but to say something very true about the shaming and, you know, the certain culture that exists on the internet and in America regarding the way women dress and the way women carry themselves. So she shared Rosea Lake's piece, Judgments, and this is one of my favorite pieces because it shows a woman's leg and it's marked showing, you know, what the length of her skirt would represent. So, of course, there's prude, there's old-fashioned, there's, you know, proper, there's flirty, there's cheeky, and then you get all the way to the top and you see things like whore and slut. So as a woman, you can't really win, right? Like, you're either a prude or you're a slut. And I think Ariel Winter made the best point when she said the following: who knew that an innocent photo with my nieces would turn into this? The height of a girl's skirt, or whatever she's wearing for that matter, does not imply what she is asking for. It sickens me to think that at 17 years old, a photo of myself with my nieces is suggesting that I'm asking for it. This is for the girls who are constantly bullied, whether it be online or at school. You are not asking for anything because of what you are wearing. You are expressing yourself, and don't you ever think you deserve the negativity as the consequence to what you're wearing. You're beautiful, celebrate you, and don't let anyone's comments allow you to think less of yourself. Us girls have to stick together. I love that comment. And something happened to me personally, like when I hit 27, where I just kind of stopped caring about what other people think, right? Because when you're younger, you're a little more insecure, and those types of comments get under your skin. But I remember I used to like dress like a grandmother at work because I was so afraid that people would think that I'm, you know, showing too much skin. And then at 27, I was like, bodycon dresses, bitches. I'm going to wear whatever I want, right? I don't give a shit. You can call me a whore. You can call me a slut. I know my worth. I know my value. And I know that there's no winning, so I'm not playing that game. Christina, what do you think? Make your point.
I love that story. That's amazing. I also really like that Ariel, she kind of opened up a community for the girls that are looking at her Instagram.
Yeah.
There's this thing that can happen when, even if the comments are stupid and you know they're stupid, if it's just comment after comment after comment and you are alone in your bed, you kind of start feeling really isolated.
Yeah.
So the fact that she was like, us girls got to stick together, here's a community, like, I'm with you, that's really empowering, and I think it's awesome.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Auntie, what do you think as a man who never gets shamed?
Oh man, that is something. I mean, I don't want to go into that territory, but I think anybody who is on the internet or in any kind of known person capacity deals with this sort of vitriolic garbage that is people hiding behind their anonymity. The thing is, I don't think, of course, it's absurd to say that she's asking for it.
Yeah.
But I think that to be a known person as famous as she is, and to post a photo like that, like, you have to know at least that, like, that's going to generate some kind of reaction.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it's naive to assume that it won't. How she looks or what she's doing, like, it doesn't matter because it's like we know that there's hot fucking fire on the other side of the Instagram send button, and you're gonna get burned. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, that's not to say that it's acceptable behavior, but it's the internet, and people love to hide behind anonymity and voice their stupid opinions, and you just kind of have to accept it.
Right.
Which is why, again, I got to a point where I was like, I don't really care what you guys think. You know, like, I love my fans, I love the people that watch the show, I love those who have constructive criticism. But if you're going to comment on what I'm wearing and what I look like, then you're irrelevant to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing of bullying, right?
Yeah.
Which is that, like, the way that troll sort of feasts is on people reacting to it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, doesn't matter at a certain point.
So, Christina, name a time that you were judged for your looks.
Well, I change my hair color a lot, and I've noticed that each hair color that I have, I get treated really differently. And like right now I have this pink going on, and I get approached on the street constantly. Like people just, it's not even like harassment. Sometimes it's actually kind of nice, but people just think that I am really asking for attention. And like
What do they say? Give me an example of something someone says.
Just like, hey, how's your day going? Like something totally just
benign.
Totally benign. Yeah. And sometimes I'm not in the mood, and luckily I think, you know, if you put the block up, people understand.
What is the block?
So it's the no thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
No thank you. But I've had like really, really blonde hair, and I don't know if it's, you know, just from the culture or what, but I even had a teacher one time when I was really blonde say something like, "You're too blonde to go to grad school."
Oh my God, what the hell?
And
how are these people educators?
I know, and now like I just like hug my master's degree, and I'm like, I'm just gonna have whatever hair color I want.
Oh my God. I mean, the stereotypes are hilarious.
It's crazy.
It's stupid. Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Absurd.
Andy, what about you?
While the internet allows you to be sort of vulnerable to people being as mean as they'd like to be, I would say as just a normal dude living in the world, I don't get a lot of people like hollering at me or saying like you know, mean things to me or treating me differently based on my hair color or anything like that. And I think that there is a specific difference between our sexes for that exact
Of course.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, and the whole idea of like catcalling and all that stuff, like guys really don't have to deal with that. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that is not wonderful.
Like, I'm sure that there are certain physical characteristics that lead guys to be judged for one thing or another. Like, especially if you're part of a minority group or something like that. But I do agree that as a woman, it's a little more difficult, especially, I just had this conversation last night, especially if you're working in news, right? So as a woman who works in news, you kind of have to go the extra mile to prove your expertise or your intelligence or your talent. Whereas with a guy, I think that...
you could be butt ugly and be a dude on the news, you know?
Well,
it's
that's
incredible.
true. That's absolutely
like,
true.
it's crazy. You could be an old fat guy with no hair, and you're like, yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's probably
works.
he's very distinguished.
It's
and
weird if you watch
He has
local
the
news.
experience.
Yeah, right. No, if you watch local news, you see like these like 48-year-old like Lexus driving bros, you know, with their white hair and their like weird belly guts, and then like toss over to like a 22-year-old hot Latina chick, and it's like what?
And who's been in makeup for hours? I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that. If that makes her feel great.
No, it's just
that's
TV.
the expectation. Is
I know,
crazy.
I know. You better believe I'll be getting those fillers in that boat. Try to keep this shit together. Anyway, tell us what you guys think. Answer the question. Describe a time where you were judged based on your looks. Of course, I get judged based on my looks all the time. I didn't really answer the question, but
Sorry,
it's very...
I cut you off.
No, it's okay, but it's very similar to, you know, what I've said in the past. You're an attractive woman in news. You got to like really try to prove yourself so people think you're credible. But name a time that you've been judged based on the way you look. And also, what do you make of this story? Do you think Ariel Winter is wrong for posting these pictures? Do you disagree with her statement? Comment in the section below. Tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. The husband of a 9/11 hero and a New York City police official has decided to return his wife's Glamour Women of the Year award because of the fact that the magazine has just issued a similar award to Caitlyn Jenner. Now, Maura Smith died while she was rescuing people during 9/11. She would literally walk into the World Trade Center and rescue injured people, get them out, and then go back in and do the same thing. Now, unfortunately, she didn't survive while she was in the middle of this heroic action. And as a result, a few months after 9/11, Glamour decided to give this New York police official the award, the Woman of the Year award. Now, fast forward to just recently, Glamour decided to give Caitlyn Jenner an award that isn't necessarily the Woman of the Year award. It's an award for the fact that she's transgender. And as a result, James Smith was so upset that he decided to return his wife's Woman of the Year award. Now, here's the statement that James Smith wrote on Facebook. He says, "I find it insulting to Maura Smith's memory and the memory of other heroic women who have earned this award. I can only guess that this was a publicity stunt meant to resuscitate a dying medium. After discussing this slap in the face to the memory of our hero with my family, I have decided to return Maura's award to Glamour magazine." So, if you read his entire post, there's a portion of it where he refers to Caitlyn Jenner as a man. He's very clear about the fact that he is not necessarily buying some of the discrimination and terrible things that the transgender community go through. But at the same time, like, I get it. I get that you think this is minimizing your wife's award, but because your wife won that award, it doesn't mean that no one else can win it if they're not on the exact same level. What Caitlyn Jenner did in terms of raising awareness about the transgender community was courageous. She was 65 years old when she came forward and said, hey, you know what? I know that I'm an Olympian. I know that I'm known for my masculinity, but the reality is I identify as a woman. That's an incredibly hard thing to do. I have my issue with Caitlyn Jenner not looking out for the greater trans community and some of the struggles that they face as people who don't have the same resources as her. But that's, I think that's a fair criticism. That's not to take away from what she did, which I do believe is courageous. What do you think? Make your point.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get into the whole, like, was Caitlyn Jenner deserving of the award? Is she courageous? Because I think we've turned that stone over a million times. But I think it's their right as a family to say, like, you know, we don't want this or we do want this, and it's up to them, and it's, you know, it's part of the thing that is great about being in this country is that you can have an opinion that is, at least in this room, definitely an unpopular one, and we will respect your ability to do that as long as you don't try to push that on anyone else. I think that also, I don't know that the Glamour Magazine Award really matters.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like,
I mean, we recently,
what is this?
we recently talked about it on the Young Turks.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just something that Glamour does for publicity, period.
Of course.
Right? So it doesn't have to do with Caitlyn Jenner. It has to do with anyone who gets this award. They do it to kind of make a statement and get some publicity for their magazine. Christina, make your point.
Yeah. First of all, I just have to say my heart goes out to this guy and his family. Like, I can't imagine losing a loved one like that. I know that he actually came out and wrote this other statement saying, like, that he acknowledged that Laverne Cox had received a similar award in the past, and he said it's not even just about transgender women. It's about Caitlyn Jenner. I think he called her Mr. Jenner, which is so disrespectful. And he said that it was because she's so comfy in Malibu, and when he sees transgendered youth on the street, they don't have that easy peasy way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's unfortunate. I think that's a little bit misguided because, I mean, just because there are so many different kinds of bravery, and I know this may be beating a dead horse, but I'm not sure if it was okay for him to say that in the name of his wife when she can't speak for herself.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't heard that point made, so I like that. Well, here's a personal question. Real quick, who would you give the Woman of the Year award to? Andy.
Gotta go to my mom, for sure.
No, my mom.
Oh, okay, all right.
I was giving it to mom.
I mean,
Okay, moms are off limits.
Can it not go to mom?
Mom, no.
What?
No.
Significant others, are they off limits as well?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, I've been very fortunate. You know, this is a tough one because I've known an incredible amount of awesome women.
Yeah.
And I would say I don't want to give a shitty award to somebody who I really like. So let's say
so no one.
Nobody gets it.
All right.
The glamour one, a real one. I don't know. This is an absurd statement. I worked with an EP once who was one of the most awesome, fiercest, most unafraid,
Andy,
but also
just say who
compassionate
it is.
person. It's Anna Kasparian. No. No, we'll move on.
All right, Christina.
Oh gosh, well if it's not gonna be my mom, right now I just want Adele to get it so she can sing to me some more.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. I want her to be singing all the time. I think she's a humanitarian.
Fair enough. All right, I'm going to go with Irma Brito, who is behind the glass, in the control room, producing the show right now. She's awesome because she fixed the lighting for the show.
Oh,
Woman of the Year Award!
A little self-serving.
Make the world a little better.
Love you, Irma. All right, guys, comment in the section below. Tell us what you think. Do you think that this police official is making a good point, or do you think he's misguided? Let us know what you think in the comment section below, and we'll see you soon. Recently, Pornhub released its analytics on the day that Fallout 4 was released. And as a result, they experienced a 10% drop in traffic following the hours of the release of Fallout 4. So let's take a quick look at this incredible graph that they released. Google data says Pornhub has about 60 million daily visitors who are interested in gaming. So of course, Fallout 4 would have some impact on their web traffic. So if you look at the graph, it's hourly. And I love how it drops. You see that clear drop at 9 p.m. And then 10 p.m. starts going up, going up, going up. There's a steep, incline there. And then at 2 a.m., you hit the peak. I love that people are like jerking off at 2 in the morning, right? Like I'm asleep, I'm thinking about, work and all that stuff. And people are like, I am spanking the salami, which by the way is healthy. I'm glad people are doing that. It's part of life. I don't really have any point to make about this other than it's hilarious and I love it. Andy, you are in the gaming world.
I don't know. I feel like I'm being typecast now.
I mean,
yeah, we did the story too. It's funny. I love how there's a precipitous drop, and then like people I guess got tired of playing the game, and then they're like, oh, going right back. That game's over. Back to the porn. Like 15%, right back up.
Dude, whenever we do these stories, I realize that I kind of messed up because the two industries that you should be working in if you want to make buku bucks is gaming industry and obviously porn.
Yep.
So I wish I created like some sort of porn platform where people can upload their amateur stuff. I know it already exists, but I should have been #1.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was like 5 when these types of things started posting on the internet. But anyway, Christina, make your point.
I think that there's a chance that the reason for the drop is that guys who are really good at Fallout 4 might just be getting laid more.
Oh.
So maybe they don't need the porn.
That's a good point.
Wow, I
didn't
love
think
that.
about that.
Statistician over here. My God.
Oh, wow, no one has ever.
Are you saying that Pornhub's methodology might not be accurate? Like maybe.
No. That's
Maybe they should have
I mean, I'm
considered
just saying
other
it's not
factors.
as in-depth as
Not
it
as
could
in-depth.
be. I don't know that I want to get in-depth, I don't.
Good point. All right, so here's the personal question. What's something you would pass up sex for? I'm just going to answer it now. Nothing. Okay, Andy.
Oh man, like I've had great massages and really good food before that have, I would say within the scheme of what happened that night, were definitely higher on my list of enjoyed experiences than sex, yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I think it all really depends on your partner and whether or not he gets you and he can get you to, completion, I guess. What feels better than an orgasm? Nothing. Like people who talk about like, oh, totally, like I love chocolate more than sex. Are you fucking kidding me? Have you ever orgasmed in your life? Like I get it, chocolate's delicious, but.
I mean, have you been to Mercado? It's really good.
I love Mercado.
See?
I love Mercado. I know the guy who owns Mercado.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, tangent.
Inside baseball. I'm just saying.
No,
I understand.
Queso
I'm
with
with
chorizo
you.
in it.
I know, I love it, but
Chorizo queso.
I love
quesoritos.
I love salami. I'm just gonna say that. Okay. Christina.
I mean, I was going to say, like an extra hour of sleep, like an extra 5 minutes of sleep, depending on
Wow. Okay, all right. I'm the only one on the panel.
Okay, not all of us are like you, all right? Not all of us are as lucky as you.
You need to meet your fiance.
A baseball playing fiance, Cuban guy.
I know. He can work it. Anyway, comment in the section below. Tell us what you guys would pass up sex for. Maybe you agree with me. Hopefully some of you do. And we'll talk to you soon. A London-based blogger writes about some of the dates that she's been on, and recently she wrote about probably one of the most hilarious dates I've ever read about. Her name is Lauren Crouch, and her blog is No Bad Dates, Just Good Stories, and this following story is awesome. So she meets up with this guy at a coffee shop. She was a little upset that he didn't want to meet up at a cozier, nicer coffee shop that was further, and he settled for a chain coffee shop. She's being a little picky, but okay. Already strike one on this guy. They have this conversation, and apparently 20 minutes in, he invites her over to his place so he can make her dinner. She was turned off by that because they had just met, and she isn't into going to a stranger's home. Strike two. By the end of the date, she decided, nah, not really into you. And when they were communicating via text, apparently she let him know, even though he invited her over for dinner a second time, she was like, look, it didn't really work out, not really into it. And then his reaction to that was awesome. Let's take a look at the picture. Apparently, he wanted a refund for the cup of coffee that he bought her. He was like, I'd like to decide what to do with my money. Please pay me back into my bank account, and like literally gave his bank account information so she can wire the $3 back to his bank account. It's incredible. So her conclusion on her blog was, yes, you do decide yourself what you do with your money, and last night you decided to spend it on a coffee. I don't come with a money-back guarantee. Dates aren't commodities. I love this story so much. Oh my God, that guy has some balls.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I feel like I buy coffee for people all the time, like or lunch. John Iderola and I, he's a colleague, go out to lunch all the time. I'll buy for him. He'll buy for me. Like that's life. That's life. Like you don't like pinch pennies and go on dates expecting to get that money back guarantee. This guy's a dick. That being said, I don't know, Lauren Crouch seemed really picky about him. I mean, she says she didn't feel the sparks from the beginning, and she's like the romantic type, and she wants those sparks from the very beginning. But I feel like she might be closing herself off to some really great guys if she's looking for like love at first sight. That doesn't necessarily exist. Christina, make your point.
Yeah, I mean, he did invite her back to his apartment that day right after having coffee. So if they were having like an awkward coffee date and then he was like, by the way, let's like pit back to my apartment, I can see how she'd be like, oh, even if there was a spark, it maybe just fizzled out. Like if you didn't like read the signs.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think dating is like buying a shirt. Like if you don't like it, you get your money back.
Agreed.
I think.
Agreed.
I don't know. I think she handled it well.
Okay, Andy, what about you?
What if it's a really nice shirt?
That they're not gonna let you return?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, all right. I'm just gonna be the skeptic because that's just what I do here. That's what I do. It's got a dating columnist or blogger. And you've got this really perfectly condensed, put together story of this crazy guy who texted her some crazy thing, and we have really no verification. To me, it seems fake. To me, it seems like a thing she made up just so that she could because in the way that she, and we didn't go into it in the slides, but the way that she is so measured and sort of like composed in her texts back to him, I feel like are done within the context of maybe saying like, I think we're gonna see this in public later. So I would say I'm a little skeptical.
Well, I mean, it could have happened, and she knows that she runs this blog, and she knows that she could make this public.
True, but it just seems like too perfect.
Yeah.
Like she just seems so great in all this. Like, oh, I was perfect. I mean, that's how everybody is, right? When you tell a story about a thing that happened, you're gonna make yourself sound like the perfect person.
That's true. That's very true. All right, so here's a personal question: what's something you dislike about dating in general, Christina?
Having to pretend like I have my life together. Hate it.
That's funny because when I was dating, most guys didn't even pretend. They were like, yeah, I live in a one-bedroom apartment with 5 roommates and I don't have a car. I took an Uber here. Yeah. And yeah, I know I'm 37 and I have no interest in finding another job, but you want to go on another date? Like, no, I don't want to go out on another date.
You're making your fiance feel bad.
No, my fiance's a winner.
No, I know. I'm just saying he had it easy. It sounds like.
Oh, no, he didn't have it that easy.
There you go.
Have you seen my fiance?
No, I know. I'm saying.
Oh, he's hot.
He's a good-looking dude.
Yeah.
We've already been over this.
Don't you guys love it when I start talking about my man? Like, I'm sure our mostly male audience is really into that. Yeah. Anyway, Andy.
You know what I hate about it is that I think that with the advent of Twitter, Jesus. I'm such an old person now. I'm such a dad. I can't keep it together anymore. I think with the advent of Tinder. God, what's the thing the kids do? I don't know.
Close.
And Hinge and Swipe and all that bullshit. I don't know. I made that one up. There's this like disconnect with like actual dating, and people have become objects. I think even more than they ever were before. And they're just like, well, I'm not gonna have to invest anything in this because there's another one I can just swipe to. And I think that while personally I haven't had to deal with that world in a while, it's gross. It just like feels. Maybe the access is easier and like you have more opportunities to go on dates, but they definitely feel less special.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I had the same problem. When I was single and on Tinder, my biggest issue was just, this is gonna sound so cocky, but it's not meant to be. It becomes like a numbers game, right? And so you match with a bunch of people and then you kind of lose track of who that person was and whether or not you like the date. And you're like, I don't know, did I like this guy? And then you're in that really cumbersome state where you've decided you don't like that person, but you don't have the balls to tell them, so you just kind of ghost. I was a huge
ghoster.
I was a big ghoster, but I think ghosting's okay after one date, right?
Sure, I'd say. Yeah.
I think it is appropriate to say, I appreciate the time we spent together, but I don't think it's going any further.
That's the mature way to handle
Yeah,
it. But
that-
I think that we're grown-ups now, right?
Yeah.
I keep trying to tell myself that, and I just
Yeah.
can't get with it.
Sucks. It
Oh my
sucks.
God.
What do you guys do though? What do you guys hate about dating the most? I'm very curious to see. It's a jungle out there, right? So comment in the section below, tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. Lindsay Miller from Massachusetts identifies herself as a Pastafarian. As a result, she wanted to wear a strainer on her head, okay? Some people call it a strainer, others call it a colander. I've never heard it called.
A colander.
Colander?
Yeah.
I've never heard the word colander in my life. I always just called it a strainer.
Upper West Side liberal elites and your lack of colander understanding.
I had no idea it was called a colander. Okay,
Yeah.
anyway,
I
colander.
mean, the Midwest, we call it a colander.
I feel like a colander is more
That does sound more
sophisticated than a
sophisticated
strainer,
than a strainer.
right?
Damn it.
Anyway,
You win again, Kasparian.
so she won the right in Massachusetts to wear the colander on her head. She had to fight because apparently the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles said its policy doesn't permit any head coverings unless it's done for religious purposes. And she says, hey, Pastafarians represent my religion and what I believe in. They're not necessarily anti-religion, but they like to point out to the stupid things that happen as a result of religion. So as a result, she says the following: it's a religion that uses parody. We accept all dogma, but we reject all dogma at the same time. That's what's so great about Pastafarianism. It accepts everyone. Now, according to its website, this religion came about back in 2005. It was existing in secrecy for a long time, then it became mainstream in 2005. It was founded to protest the teaching of creationism in schools. I absolutely love that. So I like that she fought for her right to wear the strainer on her head. I love that the picture of her on her ID is creepy as hell, but she doesn't care and she's trying to make a statement. There it is. That is amazing.
Oh, so
All right, good for her. Fight for your right to
Like
wear
a
that
true
strainer.
asshole.
Yeah. All right, so that's really my point. I have nothing else to say about it. Andy, make your point.
She seems like a great person.
Yeah.
She seems like she'd be so fun at parties.
Right?
She would talk about her religion the whole time, and how she has a cat named Tabitha, and her fun kitschy
Don't
Americana
be
pin
mean.
collection.
Don't be mean.
It's just like, oh, you know?
Are you
like,
religious at all?
No.
Okay.
And this is why.
Yeah, yeah. Christina, what about this? Is why you're not religious?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not religious because I think about what's happening in the Middle East right now, and it's all in the name of
Of
religion.
course.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there's
Yeah.
that, yes. But also at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, internet.
You're so tired of the colanders. Is that
The colanders.
Colanders.
The colanders. The colanders sound like our weird neighbors. Oh, the colanders are back. They've got
feel
that
so-
dog with only 3 legs. But it's a lot.
I don't know. Maybe it is an LA thing. I've never heard that word before in my
Colanders.
life. Colander. Okay.
Tweet us at the
Christina.
point. Let us know.
I think if she was trying to get attention for Pastafarianism, I think she's succeeded. I mean, her picture's all over the internet, so I'm sure like that Wikipedia page has never had more traffic. So if that was
Yeah.
her point, I think she's doing great.
That's a great, yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, people usually do these types of things for attention, but I also like, I like what Pastafarianism represents. I mean, I think that they're making a good point. I like parody, I like comedy, and that's essentially what this is.
Yeah.
So here's a personal question for the story. What do you think? Do you think, such a hilarious question, do you think selfies should be allowed for DMV pictures? So instead of like doing that whole uncomfortable situation, I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like that idea. I look fucking good in selfies.
But that's the thing, like if we allowed selfies, like then every time you'd have to look like that picture. Like people wouldn't recognize you, you know? Like
Yeah, but do I always look like
I love when I go to like a club or something, I look like crap in my picture and then I'll be all dolled up, right? And they'll be like, is this really you? You look so... Oh, you're just prettier in person. I'm like,
That's hilarious.
Plus, I think like getting your picture taken at the DMV is just part of like the basic human experience.
Yeah,
it's very
no, I agree.
humbling.
Yeah.
I
I
think
agree.
it's very important.
Yeah,
I
you grow
reduces-
as a person.
It's kind of like how what they like to make kids wear uniforms at private schools. It like
Yeah.
puts everybody on the same level.
Yeah.
We're all gonna be the
There
same
you go.
ugliness, and that is the American dream. Hey, I think we nailed it. We're solving all kinds of problems here on the point.
All right, cool. I like the selfie idea, so I disagree with you guys.
That's okay.
Never
That's
mind. I
okay.
take back my low 5.
America.
What do you guys think, though? Who cares about us? What do you think? Do you think selfies should be allowed for DMV pictures? Silly question, but lots of fun. And also, Pastafarian, would you wear a colander on your head?
It's a colander. It's called a colander.
To make a political statement, comment in the section below. Tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. Would you put semen on your face if it made you have nicer skin? Well, Tracy Kiss, who is a beauty blogger, says that she does this. The picture that we're showing you right now is a little deceptive. It's a little deceptive. You can clearly tell that it was edited in some way. But nonetheless, she is beautiful. She does have great skin. And she says that her beauty secret, along with Heather Locklear's beauty secret, is semen on the face. So we have a quick video describing what she does. She's going to put the mask on. Warning, trigger warning for all of you who are disgusted by semen. She's literally going to put it on her face in this video. Take a look.
Start by dipping my fingers into it and just directly swish, and I put it straight on the face, so I don't think you can see the texture of this. Side. Instantly, it's very cool and very soothing on the skin. I kind of put it in comparison with, you know, when you have chewing gum and you breathe in with chewing gum in your mouth, it's a cold, cool, refreshing feeling, and it really does just absorb. You feel it coming into your face, pardon the pun, this angle, but it just sucks into the skin. It's absolutely beautiful. I don't mind the smell of semen. I think that it's something that is quite a natural smell, and I have no aversion.
Oh my God.
Okay, so look, it's part of the human body, and you know, dermatologists are saying this isn't a good idea because someone might have a sexually transmitted disease, and if you have like cuts or anything on your face, you could easily get it. So some people might have HIV and herpes, for instance. By the way, most people have herpes. There was like a study out about that, which creeped me out. But anyway, nonetheless, TMZ did speak to Heather Locklear before, and they asked her what her beauty secret is. And I don't know if she jokingly said this, but she said, you just put semen on your face. So apparently this is something that's been going on for some time. A Cosmopolitan magazine editor also swore by the semen facial. So the only thing I want to kind of touch on is what she said about the smell. Like that's,
Yeah, I know where you're going with this. Be careful.
Sometimes it smells like bleach. Like why would you? Here's the thing. I'm okay with Neutrogena. It works for me. Doesn't smell like bleach. I'll be fine. What do you guys think?
What would your skin look like if you put
true.
semen on?
I know. Good point. Andy, make your point.
What? I mean, beyond any of the weirdness associated with like harboring and storing someone else's semen so you can apply it to your face. Oh, hey, no. That's not horseradish. Don't. No. Stop. No. That's gross. But doctors are like, there's urea in it. It's like basically urine. There's all kinds of garbage stuff that's in your urethra that, well, not your urethra.
Also testosterone, by the way.
Yeah, and it can cause you to break out.
Yeah.
So this woman is a lunatic. She is the Donald Trump of beauty bloggers. She is just in it for this.
I don't think she's.
And we're playing. You win, lady.
Look, there are risks to staying beautiful. So I don't think she's necessarily loony. I think that there probably are certain things in semen that can help with the quality of your skin, which is why porn stars tend to have really good, skin.
No, they don't.
I know. I'm just making it up. I don't know if they have good skin or not. No, that's not true.
How many porn stars do you know?
A lot.
I just feel like as soon as HD happened to porn, like you started to see people look like they actually look, and it's just like we don't need 4K porn. I'm digressing. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, Christina. Christina, make your point.
One of the doctors said that like what the ingredient in semen that could help your skin is protein.
Yeah.
So just crack an egg on your face.
Good.
Yeah. This woman said that she gets the jizz from like a male friend down the street or something. And that's fine. That sounds like great agreement. Like, that sounds like a beneficial friendship. But, I mean, if that started becoming a mainstream thing, you don't know where it's coming from. If it's like coming in a bottle.
I know.
Yeah,
you gotta be careful. Olay indeed. Okay, so I think we already answered this question, but just for shiggles, would you try a semen facial if it was the only way to cure your skin problems? I would. I'm going to be honest with you. So I have one skin problem that drives me crazy, and there's like no solution for it. Dermatologists lie to me about it all the time. They're like, oh, pay for this $500 laser treatment, and it'll get rid of your melasma. Doesn't get rid of your melasma. Don't fall victim to that bullshit, okay? But if semen cured melasma, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would smother it all over my face. Melasma is like darkness, like dark blotchy spots all over your face that you get from like hormonal imbalances and stuff like that. It's the worst thing in the world. I hate it. What about you, Christina?
I mean, I've tried everything. I have put coffee on my face. I've put lemon juice on my face.
Yeah.
I've even put cat litter on my face. And that's kind of where I draw the line. I don't think I really want to put any semen on my face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially like
Well,
some random strangers.
Here's the thing, you guys have great skin.
Oh, no,
so
I do
you
not.
guys
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Thank you. I'm just wearing a lot of makeup.
no,
That's so
and
sweet.
I'm not even wearing makeup today, and I will to go away. I don't want to see that. Get out of here.
So you wouldn't put semen on
No,
your face?
I wouldn't put semen on my face, Anna Kasparian.
I don't know, man. I paid someone thousands of dollars to break my nose and then put it back together again. Semen, not that big of a deal when you kind of think of things
You and me
relatively
both.
speaking,
You and me
right?
both.
What do you guys think? Would you put semen on your face? Comment in the section below. Tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. A new study indicates that millennials who smoke marijuana regularly tend to have more sex. The new study states that millennials who smoke this weed are getting laid more often than those who don't. So they have that control group, and then they have the people who are lighting up all the time. In over 500,000 people surveyed, that's an insane amount of people, by the way. 500,000 people were surveyed for this. Skin Condoms did their study, and they found out that 14% of the participants who smoke weed every day get laid not just several times a week, several times a day. All right, this is opposed to the only 5% who reported the same thing but did not smoke. Daily smokers had more sexual partners and one-night stands, with 37% of participants saying that they had 15 or more partners. The study also showed that high levels of cannabis use could lead to erectile dysfunction. However, 59% of those surveyed reported having amazing sex all of the time, despite their love for bud. Only 41% of non-smokers said the same. So I love this story because it's true. That's it. That's all I have to say. Christina.
I also love this story. I love when anything is in the news is about happy people having happy sex. I think that's great. And
That's kind of story.
if weed's what's doing it, then that's awesome. I'm not sure. The only thing that I will say is I don't know if more equals better.
Yeah.
Like multiple times a day. That might just mean like, oopsie, like, do you want to try again? You know what I mean? So that wording makes me suspicious, but
I feel like, look, I'm very pro-sex. I don't know if multiple times a day is even doable. Like, that sounds kind of like a pain in the ass, but every day is good, right?
Yeah.
And they also noted that for some regular marijuana smokers, they experience like an aphrodisiac type of thing when they smoke, which, like, it could happen. It could happen. I'm just saying. Andy, make your point.
Yeah, my favorite was 59% of them surveyed reported having amazing sex all the time. Was it bad? No, nothing is ever bad. Like, that's exactly, like, of course, 60% of them.
Okay,
and
so-
multiple times a day?
You know
Really?
You know what kind of study I want to do? Interview someone who had sex while they were high on marijuana and ask them what the experience was like. Like, oh my God, it was the most passionate, awesome sex ever.
Do you ever think like that
I did
the
it
color
so
that
good.
you think is a color isn't actually the same color as I think it is?
No,
we're
but
trying
then,
to talk about the sex study.
but
Yeah,
then-
but just like, whoa.
but then film them. Well, as they're having this sounds pervy, but it's done for scientific purposes. And then have them watch the sex that they thought was like amazing.
yeah, that's really
And
cool.
then have them
really
see
good.
whether or not, because I always wonder that, like, it's kind of the alcohol effect too. Like,
Right.
when
Yeah.
you're dancing while you're drunk, you think
Yeah.
that you're like the best dancer in the world. You think you're fucking Baryshnikov up on that
Oh,
dance floor, right?
sure.
And then later on, you'll watch video or like, someone took a snap of you dancing, and you're like,
Oh.
that was really bad. What's your favorite thing to do while you're high, Christina?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I'm more of a margarita girl.
Okay.
I don't really like smoking weed, but like in my dreams, I would like smoke and then eat some Doritos and then like paint and then like fall asleep in a hammock by the beach. But instead, I just like straight up fall asleep. I mean,
Yeah.
which is one of my favorite things to do. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
I don't
clearly.
need
We
to
talk-
do
it's
it.
better
so.
than sex.
I keep talking about falling asleep.
What's your favorite thing to do when you're drunk on margaritas?
Oh, text people, write in my diary, drink more, eat nachos.
Yeah.
I really like going into Sephora. I know that's really stupid, but there's this margarita place where I go and drink like 3 margaritas, and then I go to Sephora and do all the samples. And talk about like seeing it later when I look at the pictures later and I just have like lipstick smeared on my face. And at the time I'm like, oh, here I am, like Cindy Crawford, like ready for duty. But then the pictures are just a mess.
I hear you. I've done that too. Drunk shopping is actually the best though, because you have like lower standards, so you end up buying things that you typically wouldn't wear, and then it ends up kind of working in your favor. You know, you're switching shit up. Yeah.
For sure.
Andy, what about you?
For a little while, I was doing drunk working out, which was like kind of fun and like very dangerous. But at my old apartment building, we would like go and get just like shit housed, like real bad, and then go downstairs to the gym and just like run on the treadmill and stuff. And it's just, something about it is more fun. Yeah. I don't think we really get anything accomplished, but yeah, that's kind of my favorite.
It's amazing that you think about working out when you're drunk. Like that's the last thing I want to do.
No, we did it. I mean, it wasn't. I didn't want to do it, but I kind of. It was sort of fun because it was like a joke. Yeah. You know?
My favorite thing to do is this study really hits close to home for me, like because I know it, I feel it, I've experienced it, but. Also, another thing that I love is to just like laugh. Like I love to laugh at myself. So if I'm under the influence and someone is good at poking fun at me in a clever way, it's my favorite thing in the world. Like laughing at myself is hilarious. And my boyfriend does a good job with that. So.
Oh, him. Wait, you have a boyfriend? Are you?
I see how that
really
leads one thing.
Okay. So tell us what you guys think. What do you like to do when you're high, drunk, whatever. And also, maybe you agree with the study and you want to share your experiences. We do read your comments, okay? So I'm holding you guys accountable. Comment in the section below, and we'll see you soon. Do you wish you had a puppy, but you don't want to take care of a puppy, or you live in an apartment building and they don't allow you to have a puppy? Well, it turns out that there's a perfect app for you. It's known as Bark and Borrow. Okay, it's basically a rental service for dogs. So if you want to walk a dog or just play with the dog for a little bit and then return it, this app lets you do so. So here are a few examples of the dogs that are available. One of the very first dogs that was adopted through this app is Pickles, who's super cute, little Frenchie. Oh my God, who doesn't want Pickles? Who doesn't want Pickles? I love this because I have...
Is he going to prom? Is that his prom photos?
He's so cute. I really want a dog, but my landlord doesn't allow one. And also, I'm barely ever home, so it would be a pain. But then you have those moments, like it's a Sunday, you're feeling lazy, you're just chilling at home, but you wish you had a little cuddle bug with you. This is the perfect service for that. I know this has become an ad, and no, they're not a sponsor of ours, but it's a smart idea. And I kind of wanted to do something like this called Rent a Pet, but obviously the services are already out there. So this is great. I love it. What do you think, Andy? Make your point.
I think you should have gone into app development instead of this, because you have all kinds of really good ideas about apps and porn and stuff. Beyond that, though, I love that they were somehow able to convince us millennial app generation people that like this was not anything more than just like a dog sitting app.
Yes.
Like you found a great way to get people to dog sit for free.
I know. That's true. I love that.
Well, but no, I love it. And the only thing that makes me sad is that you would like rent a pet maybe 4 or 5 times from an owner, and then like you'd be like, oh God, I really love this. I love this dog so much.
I kind of like this.
I really want this dog, and I'm gonna steal it.
I'm gonna steal it. Oh no! Well, people can
totally steal it, and like I don't know, you would know where they kind of like to go to the park and stuff because you have to meet up. So then like maybe you just sit on a bench and watch them.
And you'd be like,
walk. I mean, I already downloaded the app.
Are you crying? You look a little
just
emotional.
really close.
No.
I wish I would have the same problem. I mean, just looking at the picture of Pickles, I'm already like, Pickles.
I know.
You're not gonna live with me.
Yeah. No, I know.
What I do wrong? Like, I love you.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So
have you guys ever like gone? I know, right?
Oh.
Oh, come on.
No, I actually agree with you.
You cried when you read about this.
So there's like this LA hike called Runyon that like people go to be seen. Like let's keep it real.
Yep.
They don't do it to work out. Although I go to work out because I live near that area.
Oh, sure.
No, seriously. I go at like 6 in the morning looking like shit. I don't want to be seen. And by the way, I don't need to be seen. I'm on this show.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Be right back, everybody.
But the reason why I bring it up is because a lot of people in LA have Frenchies, and I can't tell you how many times I've done that hike and I see Frenchies that I want to steal. So maybe this isn't a good service for people like me.
It's bringing out the criminals within us.
Exactly. All right, real quick, what's your favorite dog breed? Andy, go.
I have a Whippet Sheltie mix. where I grew up with a Whippet Sheltie mix, and that's my favorite breed of dog.
Cute.
She's the most adorable. She's the most adorable, perfect little thing.
You got to bring a picture. I want to see.
Yeah, I'll show you later.
All right, sounds good.
You can't have her. What?
No, I'm just kidding. What? Who
Who's
said
that kind
Keep
of
your dogs
question?
away from Christina. What's your favorite breed?
Any dog that'll talk to me. I'm not picky.
So no dog at all.
All the dogs. No! I carry dog treats in my pocket, so they all love me.
Oh damn, girl, she's serious.
I'm on
She's
the
serious
hunt, I'm
about
out
it.
there.
All right, okay. I really love King Charles Spaniels.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're so cute. They look like stuffed animals. They don't even look like pets, like real living pets.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my
Cute
favorite. I had a Chihuahua Jack Russell mix, and she's just adorable. She's with my mom now because my landlord won't let me keep her in my building.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. I mean, if I ever want to rent her, I can always do that.
Yeah, tell your mom to get the app.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, tell us what you think. What's your favorite breed? We want to hear from you. So comment in the section below. And as always, we'll see you soon. All right, that does it for our show. I very rarely give a shout out to the people behind the scenes that make the show happen, and they deserve all the credit in the world. Jennifer Roofer is the executive producer of this show. So Jennifer, you are the shit. You should win the Women of the Year award because you are the person who makes
giving
this
that
possible.
out quite a lot. I'm just saying.
And it is
You
very
get an award and
self-serving.
you get an
Anyone
award.
who helps me out
Yeah.
gets a Woman of the Year
Yeah.
award. Also, Irma Brito, who I referred to earlier in the show, she is in the control room doing her thing. And Pete Yannicchione, he's in the studio, and he also takes a role in making the show happen. So special thanks to all the producers who make this show run every single week. And of course, our awesome panelists.
I was waiting for the thanks. There it is. I was just waiting until you got to it.
Andy Reesmeyer, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for coming.
Tell the audience where they can find you.
You can find me over on the Machinima channel on PlayStation View. The show is called All Systems Go. It is also airing on the Machinima YouTube channel.
Awesome.
And you were going to come.
Huh?
You were going to be there.
I was. I'm going to be on his show very soon. So
Next
when
week.
I'm on, make sure you guys watch that shit.
And also other times. Other times.
Always,
kidding.
always. No, not kidding. Your show's awesome, so you guys should check it out. And then also, last but not least, Christina Wolfgram. Graham. Why can't I say your last name?
Because it's weird in German.
Wolfgram.
No worries. It's a weird one.
It's not weird. I love it. Where can they find your work?
I think the best place to find me is Twitter. I'm the Sea Wolf, and I mean, I just live in the internet, so come say hi.
Awesome. I'm Anna Kasparian. You guys can check me out on The Young Turks Monday through Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's youtube.com/The Young Turks for our live show. Follow me on Twitter at Anna Kasparian and Instagram, Anna Kasparian TYT. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember to comment in the section below. Tell us what you think. Even if it's criticism, it's okay. We read it. We want to get better, sort of. Just be nice about it.
I don't want to change.
I'm the best I'm ever going to get.
I will not change.
It feels so good to do the show with you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And remember, never be afraid to make your point. Hey guys, I have an awesome new announcement for you. Turns out that The Point will be hosted on the video platform Watchable.com. All you have to do is go to Watchable.com and search for The Point, and boom, you'll see our videos, you'll see our content, and we really want to make sure that The Point is available on all these different and awesome, great platforms. So take a look, tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. Okay, so of course 9/11 impacted me, but I lived in California at the time, as I still do, and I was a kid. I was in high school, so of course I understood the severity of what was going on, but did it impact me personally, other than making me feel terrible for all the victims? Yeah, it did, but not to the extent that the 1994 Northridge earthquake impacted me.
Okay.
So I was in 3rd grade, I believe, when that earthquake happened. And it was one of the scariest experiences of my life. You see like death and destruction all around you, and you're a kid. So it was a traumatizing experience, but at the same time, weirdly enough, it brought our community closer. So I would say that impacted me the most. Christina, what about you?
Well, I also was impacted by September 11th. I grew up in Maryland, but when I was in 7th grade, the sniper attacks were going on.
Oh, wow.
And I went to this beautiful school where there were these huge windows, and we all had to get together and put newspaper up to make sure that we wouldn't get shot in our classroom.
God.
And my mom is a teacher. She's a first grade teacher, and she would walk kids home, and I mean, I don't know what she would have done,
Right.
but the shootings were so incredibly random that it just felt like at any second the world was going to end, and there was so much misinformation. So I think about that a lot and how lucky we all were to get through it.
Absolutely. Wow. That's really scary.
Yeah.
Andy, what about you?
So, obviously working in news and stuff, we go to a lot of places post-disaster. We see a lot of worlds that are sort of like, have just been altered in a huge way. And I think that you become kind of numb to that after a while, which is, it's a bummer. That's not a human condition that you should develop. But personally, I had covered a lot of school shootings. There were a lot of them, it seems like, between 2011 and 2013. And sort of around the time that I got out of news was...
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Point. I'm your host, Anna Kasparian, and we have a double whammy for you today. We're doing a double show because, let's keep it real, next week is Thanksgiving and we want a break. So we're not going to film next week, but we have a bunch of really fun evergreen stories, including semen facials. What is that, and should you be doing it? We'll get to that in just a second. But who are our panelists today? Super excited to have Andy Reesmeyer back. Andy Reesmeyer is the host of All Systems Go. You guys should check it out.
New show.
I love it. That hair, though.
Oh, this?
It looks great.
Thanks.
I love it.
Thanks. I'm trying something different now,
I mean,
It's fake. They apply it every day, every morning. They just like a small Malaysian child glues it onto my scalp every day.
And I'm excited about a new panelist that we have on the show today. Intelligent, bright, funny girl by the name of Christina Wolfgang. She is a comedian and a writer. Thank you for joining us, Christina.
Thank you. I wish you were introducing me in every room I walk into. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
So excited to have you. All right, so let's get started with the topics today. The Paris attacks in France were, of course, tragic, but there were a number of people who were victims of that tragedy and who also had Facebook accounts that alerted their friends as to whether or not they were okay or if they were hurt. Now, Facebook has this safety check feature that, of course, is a great idea, but some people were criticizing the fact that the first time it was used was for this Paris terror attack. Now, there were some critics who say that the social networking site was not turning it on to feature attacks in Beirut that happened around the same time. However, Alex Schultz, who's the vice president of growth at Facebook, says the following: there has to be a first time for trying something new, even in complex and sensitive times, and for us, that was Paris. Now, Mark Zuckerberg says that their policy has changed starting Friday to allow check-ins during attacks like this. Also, there was a test trial of this safety check back in 2011 during Tokyo's tsunami and nuclear disaster. It has since been... I was actually taking some classes at Santa Monica College at the same time, and there was a school shooting, and I was on my way to campus. And KTLA, I was working at KTLA at the time, and they were like, "Hey, actually, get over there because let's see what's actually happening." And it was just this weird thing where the idea of the safe space, which was school, and normal life, which for me had always been sort of separate from my work life, which was disaster, they crossed over for the first time, and it was just this like really, really sort of surreal thing. And so scary.
Yeah, it was terrifying. Many people were killed there.
Yeah, I mean, we're now living in this day and age where it's not only about natural disasters. You're worried about crazy people out there who have access to guns, crazy people out there who hate, Westerners, hate everything that we stand for. And so you kind of have to be, on guard and make sure that you protect yourself in any way you can. I'm not entirely sure how you do that.
Yeah.
But it's a tough conversation to have. That's probably the most serious conversation we've had on The Point. But you can go ahead and comment in the section below and tell us what natural disaster or which natural disaster or terrorist attack impacted you the most personally. Comment in the section below, tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. After the Paris attacks, a number of public figures took to social media to politicize the event. Now, while there are some people who make really good points about what happened in France, of course, there are some who don't necessarily make the best points. Donald Trump is one of those people. Now, the recent attacks killed a whopping 125 people and injured more than 200 people. Donald Trump's tweet from last January resurfaced online following the attacks, and apparently the musician Frank Ocean had enough of Donald Trump's opinions. So first of all, Donald Trump had posted something after the Charlie Hebdo attacks that happened in January. And the tweet said the following: launched to basically keep all of your friends and family on notice if you are traveling in an area that has been the victim of a terrorist attack like this. Now, I think that the criticism isn't necessarily warranted. If you want to have a conversation about how a lot of the attention has been on France, but no one's really talking about Beirut, I think that's a fair criticism to make. But at the same time, it's great that Facebook is using the safety check feature now. It is the first time that they've used it since 2011, and now they're planning on using it going forward. Hopefully there isn't a double standard on when they use it and when they don't. We'll see going forward. What do you guys think about this? Andy, make your point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know that it was like an intentional thing that they were like, well, we're going to turn it on for Paris and we're not going to turn it on for Beirut. Obviously, we have a Western perspective in America. Facebook probably has a Western perspective since it's an American company.
Right.
Maybe they thought more of their user base within the realm of the people that they serve in America would have more interest in people who are in Paris than necessarily Beirut. Again, I don't know that it's fair to criticize them for that, because I think very quickly they have said, all right, we're going to do this now going forward. It is good. It is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
We were at work when the news broke, and everybody was on their phones checking to see if everyone was okay. It was a really nice thing, but it really made me appreciate not having friends, because now I don't have to worry.
Now
about
you don't
stuff.
have to worry about them being victims.
Yeah.
Christina, what about you? Make your point.
I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think Facebook is hearing people when they say that they want expansion. And I had a friend in Paris, and she said that she opened up her phone and Facebook was like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
And she could check on her friends in Paris. So I think that people shouldn't put down the feature, because I think it's really useful. So.
Absolutely. All right, so here's the personal question. Which natural disaster or terrorist attack impacted you the most? I'll go ahead and start. Isn't it interesting that the tragedy in Paris took place in one of the toughest gun control countries in the world? Well, Frank Ocean took that tweet and used it to respond on his own blog on Tumblr. He said the following: on the real though, Donald Trump, how is it interesting that these shootings happen in a country that's tough on guns? Tell us, Don. Because it sounds like that Vegas observation was about giving your NRA-loving constituency a hand job and spinning a tragedy for political gain. And I'm thinking maybe using a situation where dozens of innocents have been murdered in the streets isn't the best time. No? Now, I actually absolutely love his response to it, because it's true. I mean, you have people who are using this tragedy in Paris to make points about how the United States shouldn't accept refugees because they're Muslims and they're probably terrorists, which is so wrong, because these are the people who are trying to escape the same terrorism that we're railing against. At the same time, Donald Trump doesn't really make a good point about guns, because if someone is bombing you, what are you going to do with your guns? That's not necessarily going to stop a terrorist attack, unfortunately. So Frank Ocean calling him out is a good thing, but I see Donald Trump as low-hanging fruit. What do you guys think? Christina, make your point.
Sure. I mean, I really liked Frank's response, firstly because he called him Don.
Yeah.
And I just could hear Donald Trump's hair kind of like deflating. Like, I'm not Don, I'm the Donald Trump, you know?
Yeah.
But on a grander scale, I worry that Donald Trump has inspired kind of the average Joe to be more vocal about inappropriate things like that. And
Yeah.
I really could have used Frank Ocean on my Facebook feed this week.
Yeah,
So
I hear you.
I'm all for it. I think it was awesome.
Andy, make your point.
I mean, okay, so notwithstanding what he said, talking about vacuous words and stuff like that, sick lyrics, work on your record, man. Like, seriously, we're waiting.